I've seen a lot of people state throughout the years that they believe that in the Cell Saga, when Cell was powering up, that he was tapping into the same power of a Super Saiyan. Meanwhile, other fans in the Dragon Ball fandom disagree and think it's a totally different kind of power. On today's video, I'm going to go into the manga and the anime using evidence from both with the final conclusion about whether or not Cell was a Super Saiyan. By the end of the video, you will have your answer. Don't forget to leave a like if you're stopping by, and if you're new to Geekdom 101, remember to subscribe and enable all notifications so that way you don't miss a single video. We discuss all things Dragon Ball here, movies, anime, manga, and even some video games. We've been here for 10 years and many more to come. I thank you for your continued support. Let's get to the video. We know that the bio-android known as Cell was composed of multiple fighters, many of which were Saiyans, and so Cell has plenty of Saiyan DNA inside of him, which was a very large aspect of his character. The fact that he could exploit the near-death Zenkai power was already scary enough. On top of that, regeneration through Piccolo's incredible Namekian DNA, as well as the techniques of all these fighters, including Frieza, made Cell the most dangerous opponent up until that point. But does that actually mean he can become a Super Saiyan? Well, first of all, even though Cell is composed of the cells of many Saiyans, that does not mean he is a Saiyan. Cell on his own falls under a different species from a Saiyan, from a Namekian, and from Frieza and King Cold's clan. Cell is a synthetic organism. Cell is a compound. He is a combination. You take a bunch of different things, put it inside of one, and you've got Cell. However, because of that, the percentage of him being a Saiyan is definitely not 100% like Goku and Vegeta, or 50% like Gohan. It's jumbled up in there. The difference is that he was artificially made. He is a Jinzo Ningen, which means artificial human. And clues in both the anime and the manga tell us that Cell can assimilate many different types of living organisms, although we only see him go after humans and humanoids. Throughout the early part of the Cell Saga, Cell is absorbing humans to inflate his power level. Because remember, the cells that were gathered for Cell were from fights of the past. And at this point, the androids had no idea what Super Saiyan even was, and the cells and DNA that was collected to make Cell was inferior and obsolete compared to all the training and all the improvements that Goku and the gang had made since those cells were gathered. So what that means is that by default, just based on the ground level, Cell was not born a Super Saiyan. However, much like the actual Super Saiyans, can he train to get stronger and achieve that power? The thing about Cell is that when he transforms, it's a mutation based on his absorption of 17 and 18. No matter how many humans he absorbs, we never really see Cell changing his physical appearance. So physically, there is no hair to stand up. Therefore, the only thing we really have to go on is the aura around Cell when he powers up. This to me seems to be the top piece of evidence that people use to reaffirm their belief that Cell was a Super Saiyan. Now, going back to the original manga, the vast majority of the pages when they were originally printed were in black and white. There were some color panels, but only a few. Later on, the manga got a full color release, and thus we were able to see a more vibrant look of the manga, and this gave us a better answer. There's no question that if you've only seen the Dragon Ball anime, the vast majority of Cell's power-ups are yellow/golden, just like Goku and the others. In fact, if you really pay attention, you rarely see that golden aura during Cell's first form. There's a couple of moments here and there you do see it, but when we first see Cell confront Piccolo, clearly at this point, Cell has not even come close to achieving the power that he could have after absorbing all those humans. It is pretty safe to say that this version of Cell, if you were to do a one-on-one comparison between him and a Saiyan, he would probably still be in a quote-unquote base form. I'm not saying that literally here. I'm saying that in comparison to Goku or Vegeta. However, when Cell goes off and absorbs those people and then appears to confront Piccolo in 17, this time he is way stronger. We do see the yellow aura, and Cell, even in his first form, completely decimates and nearly kills Piccolo. I think people forget what a big moment that was for Cell, because remember, this is not just Piccolo. This is Piccolo after fusing with Kami and going back to being the original son of Katatsu, the nameless Namekian, with his full power. He was known as a Super Namekian, which rivals Super Saiyan. And during this part of the series, he was the strongest of the Z fighters. Super Namekian Piccolo was more powerful than Super Saiyan Goku and Vegeta and Trunks during this part of the series. Once they would emerge from the training in the Room of Spirit and Time, they would once again surpass Piccolo. But until then, he was the strongest Z fighter, and here he is getting smashed. This is when we first start seeing the golden aura. And we would continue to see the golden aura with all of his subsequent forms. Now, I want to make this clear that the full-colored manga and the anime are not directly identical when it comes to coloring. Some characters look different even in the full-color manga, and some characters and auras that we see with them are colored differently. We see all kinds of different colors for power-ups. Red, blue, gold, white, green for Broly. We've seen it all. But Cell's does seem to be yellow most of the time. So if the argument is that Cell has yellow aura with Saiyan cells, it's pretty safe to assume that he's tapped into a variant of Super Saiyan. The last big clue that people point to has to do with Super Perfect Cell. When he came back from exploding himself and taking Goku with him, his body regenerated into his perfect form, but because of the Zenkai that was inside of him, he was able to not only go back to that perfect form after losing it, he was able to get even stronger, and this is why we have Super Perfect Cell. And at this point, he was a problem. Now, in this form, we see Cell with sparks coming off him and electricity. A lot of people associate Super Saiyan 2 with electricity and sparks because Gohan has that when he uses it, and later on in the Buu arc, both Vegeta and Goku have the sparks when they tap into Super Saiyan 2. However, you have to remember that we do see some sparks in some of the various grades in between Super Saiyan 1 and Super Saiyan 2. When Trunks fought Cell, we saw some sparks coming off of his body. Now, we know that Cell can replicate this because during the earlier fight with Gohan, he increases his muscle mass and his size, but his speed goes down. He also demonstrates this to Trunks. This basically tells us that Cell can mimic the properties of the various Super Saiyan forms, including Grade 3 and, of course, Super Saiyan 2 with the sparks. Despite what people may tell you, there's no guarantee that Super Perfect Cell was equal to a Super Saiyan 2, but he may have been. That may have certainly been the case. However, it still was not enough to beat Gohan. I've done so many videos on the fact that Gohan was so much stronger than Cell and didn't even realize it until Goku gave him that pep talk. Even if Cell was Super Saiyan 2, Gohan's Super Saiyan 2 and all that anger and that potential he has inside of him was too much for Cell. But it does seem like Cell was mimicking the properties of Super Saiyan 2. Therefore, if the conclusion is Cell a Super Saiyan or can Cell use a Super Saiyan transformation? The answer is not directly, but he can mimic the properties of Super Saiyan. The golden aura, the sparks, and all that stuff. If you want to learn more about Cell and Gohan, watch these videos right now.